Welcome, everyone. This is Dr. Tim McGuinness. I'm the Managing Director of the Society of Citizens Against Relationship Scams, SCARS, a government-registered crime victims assistance and crime prevention nonprofit organization based in Miami, Florida, and Monterrey, Nuevo Leon, Mexico, as well as with offices and affiliates and partners in more than 60 countries around the world. This special conversation is going to allow us to talk with individual scam victims. This is part of a series, so we will be presenting each individual interview, and it gives us an opportunity to talk to scam victims openly, candidly, full transparency. We will not be editing their commentary. We will be presenting it whole, unedited, and complete. What we're talking about today are three topics. The first is to try and get a better feel for the victims around the world, different countries and cultures, about their scam experience itself. We'll talk for a few minutes about that. Then we'll move on to their experience after the scam ended. What was that like for them individually, personally, and also in the context of the country or culture within which they live? And then lastly, to explore a little bit about the challenges of helping, supporting scam victims in different countries and cultures, the barriers that are in the way, the challenges, the opportunities, and to the extent that victims can find support services within those countries. Welcome, Ms. Jones. Thank you for appearing with us today and allowing us to record this. I would like to begin with a question about your own personal scam experience. What happened during how you were lured into it, how you were groomed, how you were manipulated? What was that experience like for you personally during the scam?
I was a fan of a celebrity, and I had been posting on his fan page for 2 years. But suddenly I got a post on my post asking me to contact him on Instagram. And at first I thought it was strange because most celebrities don't have time to talk to fans. But then he convinced me that he was indeed the great R&B singer that I had been admiring all those years. Right. So he lured me in by, telling me a little bit about his life and asking me about my life, like he was very interested in me. And he asked me about my spirituality. And about a couple of months into the texting that we was doing back and forth, he said that he was hungry. It was during COVID, the height of the COVID season. And he said he was hungry and somebody had hacked his bank account and his wife had left him for the chef and he didn't have anything. And he was, so sincere, and he was giving me, making it seem like I was guilty because I was eating and he was not. So he used my spirituality because I told him that I was the wife of a minister, and he used that against me, saying that, well, he was hungry, and if we could, give him a little money to get him some food, that, it would help him a lot. And I asked him why didn't he go to his friends. He said it was his pride. He just couldn't let his friends know because they wanted to see his downfall anyway. So we helped him, we sent him money, and that was just the start. From then on, he wanted money every month to help him to get food. And my husband said, hey, something wrong with this, and something got to be wrong with this. And this person, he made all this money over a certain period of time, and he should have some money. So I had a business, and he convinced us that if we give him some money, that he would help me in the business get more customers. So we sent him money for that. However, over a period of time, he didn't get the customers, and we let him know that, this was wrong and something had to be wrong with this. So
Right.
he sent us a $40,000 check to pay for all of the things that, all of the money that we had given him. And I took the check to the bank, and the banker immediately said, this is a fake check. And well, he called the playground that the check was pulled on, and he could never get an answer. So he said, what I want you to do is go and make a police report, because he said, this check is scam. He said, it's a scam. He said, I could cash it for you, but if I cash it, then you would be in trouble and you would lose. We would have to bar you from the bank. So I went to the police, made a police report, and then I got back with the person that said they was this celebrity.
Right.
And they said, oh, it's your fault. That's what you call projection. He projected everything on me, and saying that it was my fault. I had messed up, and over a period of time, he sent me flowers. He said,
Okay. So we need to move on to the next item, because we're a little short of time today. So that's about where the scam ended, right?
Yes.
So what happened after you pulled the plug, after you ended it? What happened to you personally? What was your emotional state? How cooperative or supportive were the police when you reported this to them? Can you tell us a little bit about what your experience was afterwards?
When I went to make the police report, and my husband was with me, and I don't think the officer meant to laugh at me, but he was saying, well, you should have known better, and he was telling me that I had to be careful because there are so many people out there that are, out to scam people.
Right.
And so it was a little funny to him. I could, kind of pick up on that he was smiling underneath. But then he told me to go and make an FBI report, which I did. I went online and made an FBI report.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second? What the police department was in, what size town did you report this in? In other words, was this a big city, or was this a rural town, or something in the middle?
It's something in the middle. It's a small town. And so it's a small police department.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So after you reported it to the FBI, you went on a journey to try and, first, how did you know that you needed help?
I was very sad and I had a negative attitude about myself. I was thinking, well, how could I be so stupid
Mhm.
to, fall for this type of scam? But I realized that my upbringing was to always help people. My family was Christians. My daddy,
Right.
he was a deacon in the church, and my mother participated in the church. And Christians, that's what we do. We help people. And that was drilled in me, that you feed the hungry. This guy said he was hungry. He didn't have anything to eat. So it was our my upbringing to try to help him and make things better for him, because that's what Christians do. But when I found out it was a scam, I was devastated. I was embarrassed, and I just had to get some help. So I did some research, and I found this book by Dr. Kathy Wilson called The Emotional Impact of Being Scammed and How to Recover. And it was just a jewel to me. I found out the tactics that scammers use. They have very persuasive and manipulative tactics. They they draw you in, and then they use what you tell them. They're very friendly, and they use what you tell them against you. Like, he used my spirituality against me. He used my religion
Right.
against me.
Did that help you to overcome the guilt, the self-blame, the shame that you were experiencing?
By reading her book, she suggested in the book that I write a journal.
Mhm.
And so I started journaling, and from that I wrote a book. And that really helped me. And she also suggested that I do things that I like to do. I start exercising, I start eating right. I started to do things, play games on the computer, just anything. My religion was very important. And I started going to church, and I started praying. And it was just a combination of things that helped brought me out. I joined a group. She suggested that I join a group. The book that I read is amazing. I think everybody needs to read this book, because
Okay.
it tells
So
you.
I need to interrupt you because, again, we're short on time in our segment. But one of the challenges that we as an organization see in both supporting people of color, and truthfully, race has no basis in our organization whatsoever, because in our experience, in our philosophy, in our ethics, everyone experiences the same shade of pain, as the way we say it. But the fact is that scammers, particularly African scammers, focus on different demographics. And to some extent, they focus on them differently. Whether it's Caucasians in North America or Europe, whether it's Latinos, whether it's Asian, their language and their approach, not so much their methodology, but just their attitudes change radically. We have seen from one demographic to another, particularly in the African American Black communities. So what I'd like to give you a chance to do now is maybe to talk a little bit about both your perception of scam victims in the Black African American communities, and also what needs to be done differently to better serve and support and help those victims to recover.
According to the AARP, 41% of African Americans are targeted for scams.
Right.
scams like government scams, IRS, or Social Security, lottery scams. They get scam calls constantly, inundating them with scams, and work from home scams, romance scams, and 21% of them lose money like I did. So they have some tips for you not to
Okay,
give
but
it.
those are universal across all victims. What more specifically do you think, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but in the time that we have available, what more specifically, because this series of interviews is trying to drill into the unique differences from one, excuse me, I'm allergic to scammers, from one culture or group to another. We're going to be talking to Bulgaria and Poland and Vietnam, etc. So really what it comes down to is, one, what can we do to make the reporting process to the police a better experience? And two, how can we better reach African Americans to make them aware from an educational point of view? Forget avoidance. Avoidance does not work. The focus has to be on them after they become a victim, because that's the time in which everyone will listen. So could you talk about that a little bit?
I think that the African American community need to be more informed. We are trusting people. We believe, because we're have a lot, like I said, a lot of we've been told that you're supposed to help people, so we trust people a lot and believe that they're honest. So the African American community need to be informed, and for recovery need to have somebody to go to so that you won't be embarrassed, or because it's a devastating feeling, and you feel like you're the only one that's been scammed, and your family they are not supportive. So they need to know that they are supported, and that there's a place that they can go to and express how they've been scammed and how they can recover, and that they're not the only ones.
Thank you. And of course, that is exactly what SCARS does, providing free support and recovery services to every scam victim for as long as they need it. Ms. Jones, I want to thank you for joining us today. We've reached the end of this particular segment. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with us and your time. And again, thank you for allowing.
You're welcome. I was glad to do it.
Wonderful. You have a great day. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I want to thank you for joining us today for this incredible interview and the insights and information about how scams work, the experience that victims face after the scam, and insights into ways in which both SCARS and society as a whole can make the process easier for victims and present better options for their emotional recovery after these events occur. This video is copyright 2022, Society of Citizens Against Relationship Scams, Inc. Thank you for joining us. For more information about SCARS, visit againstscams.org. To learn more about scams and scammers, visit romancescamsnow.com. If you're insisting on looking at scammer photos, visit scammerphotos.com. And of course, to report scams, report them to the Federal Trade Commission, to the FBI through ic3.gov, and on the SCARS portal, anyscam.com. Thank you for joining us today.